Bro gave us all black Air Force.
Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't had a losing season in 19 years. Now that's black Air Force mentality. There aren't many teams in the NFL that can match up with Pittsburgh as far as player for player. And even though they've only had 2 players make the NFL's top 100 list, next season I'm sure that'll change. Steelers culture is an old school, more of a defense wins championships kind of team, and they believe if the opposing team doesn't score a lot of points, it's easier to win games. And when you have the kind of studs that they do on defense, it's easy to believe in that philosophy. TJ Watt is not only the best defensive player on this team, but arguably the best defensive player in the NFL. And his value really showed last year when he was injured in the season opener, and the team went 1-6 in those 7 games that he missed, and allowed 25.3 points per game with 390 yards per game and only 8 sacks and 5 takeaways during that span. But with Watt, this unit finished 8-2, only allowing 16.9 points per game, 290 yards a game, and 32 sacks and 18 takeaways. So yeah, the guy's a problem. And even though he missed almost half of the season, he still managed to make his 5th straight Pro Bowl. And when he's making plays like this, he doesn't leave you much room to debate it either. We're going to see TJ Watt totally dominate the Bengals offense in different ways every time. Here on the first play, Watt is lined up outside, and he wasn't able to get to Burrow on the pass rush, but coaches always tell defensive linemen to make sure they have active hands. And Watt does just that as he's able to bat this ball down at the line of scrimmage. But in today's NFL, versatility is the name of the game. And instead of disrupting the team's air attack this time, he does it on the run. This play was over as soon as it started, as TJ ducked under this blocker to meet Joe Mixon in the backfield as soon as he got the handoff for a 5-yard loss. So in this one game, he's had a pass batted down at the line of scrimmage and a huge tackle for loss. While the reigning defensive player had much higher hopes for his 2022 season, he was still able to put together 39 tackles, with 27 of them being solo tackles, with 5.5 sacks as well. And speaking of the number 39, Minkah Fitzpatrick also has a strong argument as the best player on this team, as well as the best safety in the league. The advantage of having a great defense is, even if your main guy goes down, his partner in crime will always be there to pick him up. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing their part in ending this debate over if it's better to have a great defensive line or a great secondary, and they've just decided to have both. In 2022, Minkah's ball hawking skills were at an all-time high as he finished the season with 6 interceptions, which was tied for most in the league, while also having 96 tackles, which was second on the team, and all while finishing 3rd on the team in pass breakups with 11. Minkah's week 1 should have been a clear indication of the type of season he was going to have, as he picked off Joe Burrow in the first quarter and took it in for 6 to get it going. But the beautiful part about Minkah's interceptions is the way he goes up and gets the ball. I believe that's why he gets so many interceptions in the first place, is because he doesn't wait for interceptions to come to him, he goes and seeks them out. Although most people say Minkah was back to being himself in 2022, he actually never really went anywhere. In 2021, instead of being that ball hawking safety, he just became that downhill safety as he led the team in tackles with 138. Only to follow that season up by leading his team in interceptions. And I mean, what more can we ask for? A safety who has a knack for the ball and actively seeking takeaways, as well as not being afraid to come down and lay the lumber as well. To give you a sense of how important these 2 players are, we'd have to go back to the beginning of the video where I mentioned this team only having 2 players in the NFL's top 100. Minkah Fitzpatrick and TJ Watt. Together they command this defense. And the saying is true, that defenses win you championships. But your offense also has to win enough games to even get you there. Now let's talk about this underperforming but compelling young offense. This offense is filled with talent, but experience is the best teacher of them all. So while it doesn't look as pretty now, with more and more reps, we'll only start to see these young guys explode. First and foremost, everything starts in the backfield. Najee Harris and the Pittsburgh Steelers are a perfect example of how valuable a running back truly is to an organization. Long before the resurgence of Kenny Pickett and George Pickens, It was just good old Najee Harris racking up 307 rushing attempts for 1,200 yards to go along with 7 touchdowns. But that's not where Najee's impact ends. He also added on another 74 receptions for 467 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was a slow start to the 2022 season for Najee Harris and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers were averaging 95 yards per game, while Najee averaged 3.3 yards per carry. Fast forward post-bye, and the Steelers were averaging 146 yards per game, and Harris averaged 4.1 yards per attempt. Najee Harris's best trait is his big play ability. Here on a simple out route, contact is made before the first down marker, but Najee's able to stiff arm a defender and then hurdle the next defender on his way to a first down. And you know you're a special talent when your go-to move is hurdling a defender. But none of them top this one. Here on this run, Najee goes untouched, but when he comes face to face with this DB, he has a decision to make. Run through him, break it back inside, or run out of bounds. But nobody expected Najee to go over the defender and manage to stay in bounds for the touchdown. The only downfall to having so much talent offensively is that there's only one ball to go around. On the other hand though, having talent on the offensive side of the ball is necessary in this star-studded AFC. But what's even more important than just talent is having that talent in the right positions. And although Kenny Pickett is young and rather inexperienced, they always say the biggest leap in a player's career is between years 1 and 2. But I've already made a full video over Kenny Pickett, so be sure to check that one out if you want to hear more about the newest face of the franchise. Now that we've covered that, we must talk about the guys on the outside, because there is no up-and-coming quarterback if he has no one to throw to. This Steelers wide receiver core is young, but they're poised for a big season, I believe. George Pickens is an animal. And if there was a player who made eyes pop with almost every reception in 2022, it was him. Pickens finished this season with 52 receptions for 801 yards and 4 touchdowns, with an average of 15 yards per catch as well. He morphed into a big play receiver as the season went on. Now, of course, we all remember the ridiculous grab against the Browns that really ignited the flame under him, but he made several contested catches all season that looked like he was playing jackpot against third graders. Take this play for instance. Pickens is one-on-one on the outside, and the catch is great. But what sticks out to me is that the strong hands he possesses as he keeps his ball away from the defender. So here he catches a touchdown on this goal line fade, but what makes it even more special is that he's able to have the wherewithal to keep both feet in bounds. This big body receiver is a rare vertical threat who can routinely and consistently win contested catches. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on the rise, and I feel sorry for anyone who's still sleeping on them. Their defense is already fierce, and with the addition of Patrick Peterson mixed with the emergence of Alex Highsmith, they're only going to get better. Just as their offense is looking to take a huge step forward, and they're hoping that Allen Robinson can come in and be another weapon that defenses have to game plan for. Because an offense containing Kenny Pickett, Najee Harris, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, and Allen Robinson sounds unfair on paper. But the game isn't played on paper. It's played on the field, and I know I can't wait to see what these Steelers do on it. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check this video out as well, which is all about a guy Steelers fans call QB1. Peace.